It is November 28th, and I am making the featured recipe from the Fannie Farmer kitchen cabinet, Irish Moss Blancmange. First thing, what's blancmange? It's actually a very old dish. I know it goes back to medieval times in England. It was made with chicken and milk and sweetened with sugar, sometimes flavored with rose water, and thickened often with rice flour or crushed almonds. Kind of an interesting flavor combination. But by the Victorian era, and certainly by the time of Fannie Farmer, blancmange had become a dessert. It was milk that was jellied and served as a pudding. Mostly I see references to it as nursery food or as food for invalids, but in this case, it's being served as dessert. And Irish moss. Irish moss is a seaweed and it has thickening properties. If you've ever looked at a container of ice cream and one of the ingredients is carrageenan, that's the thickener that is extracted from Irish moss. So that's going to gel up our blancmange. I've never worked with it before and I'm kind of excited to try it out. I don't know if it's going to impart some sort of seaweedy flavor to the blancmange. That would be interesting. I got the smallest package I could and it's like 2 ounces. And this recipe does not call for very much. And it's going to need even less because I have cut the recipe down to 1/4, which was about as small as I can get it. I don't go into these biased, but I kind of have a feeling that this is not going to be one of my favorites. That all being said, I'm pretty excited to try it out. As usual, I have never made this recipe before and I have absolutely no idea how it's going to turn out. It might be a total disaster. To make Irish moss blancmange, you will need Irish moss, milk, salt, vanilla. For serving, banana, cream, and sugar. The first thing is to soak the Irish moss for 15 minutes in cold water. 15 minutes later, we are going to drain it, pick over, just make sure there isn't anything really sort of horrible in it. I'm not really finding anything. I've bought this prepared and cleaned and ready to go, which is probably not the Irish moss of Fannie Farmer's day. Milk goes in a double boiler, and we add the Irish moss. And now we cook for 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, this has definitely thickened. Now we're going to add some salt. And strain. Keeping it real, folks. Last ingredient, vanilla. I find it really sort of odd that there is no sugar in this recipe at all. It's making me feel kind of dubious. And then we strain it one more time. It's squeaking. realize I'd be going through so many bowls to make this. It's not really straining. That's really thick. Well, let's pretend we strained it. Now we fill individual molds previously dipped in cold water, which indicates to me that they're tin molds. I don't have fancy individual molds. As you know, I have a lack of molds. So I'm using muffin tin. This is kind of amazing. This is a standard half-cup muffin tin. I cut the recipe down to 25%, so 1 cup of milk, and it just fills 1. Now we chill it. I think I'm going to let this set up overnight just to make sure it's nice and solid for the unmolding tomorrow. And I'm going to try to unmold the Irish moss Blanc. Wish me luck. I do not have the best track record for unmolding. It worked. Not the loveliest thing in the world. You're supposed to put a slice of banana on top and surround it with thin slices of banana. This is supposed to be on a glass dish, like having decorative tin molds. I don't have any glass dishes. It was actually like my lack of decorative tin molds. I also have a lack of glass dishes. Irish moss blancmange. Let's try this thing. By the way, I absolutely hate bananas. So even though I was willing to dress the blancmange the way that Fannie Farmer said, I am not willing to eat it. There was a little bit left over after I filled the muffin cup, and I used my skull cupcake pan to make a skinny little blancmange, and that's the one I'm going to try. Isn't it cute? Here goes. Oh, that's kind of awful. All right. She said to serve it with sugar and cream. I don't have any cream, so I am going to put a little sugar on it and see what happens. So it's a lump of milk. It tastes very faintly like vanilla, but very faintly. It's a little better with the sugar on it, but mostly it is so bland and unappealing. No. Sorry. No. All right, I'm just gonna try one more taste, just so I can try and describe to you. Yeah, it really doesn't taste much like anything. I mean, it tastes like milk, it tastes like vanilla a little bit, but the texture is so awful. Oh, yeah. No, I'm so sorry. Fannie Farmer. I have usually found something redeeming to say about most of these recipes, but this one, no. So I can think of a couple of things that I would have done differently about this, other than not make it at all. The first is, instead of having the Irish moss loose in the milk and having to strain it multiple times, I would have put it in a little cheesecloth bag so I could pull it out easily. Because straining it was really difficult. It had gotten so thick that it didn't want to go through. Can you hear Bart playing with his toys? After I added the salt, I strained it, and it was pretty thick at that point, and it was hard to get it through the strainer, but I had to get the Irish moss out. And then adding the vanilla, you're supposed to strain it a second time, and by that point it was so thick there was no way it was going through the strainer. So I think what I would do is, like I said, put the Irish moss in like a little cheesecloth bag and infuse the milk with that, put in the salt, put in the vanilla, pull out the Irish moss, strain the whole thing once. The second thing I would do is 100% add sugar to it. I looked at a bunch of recipes for blancmange, Victorian ones and 20th century ones, and they all had sugar in them, right? Milk, sugar, flavoring, thickener. I do not know why this one left the sugar out. I think even a pretty tin mold would not save this dish. But if you decide to try it, let me know what you think. Also, if you have any ideas for what to do with most of a bag of Irish moss, let me know. Enjoy. Bartholomew, get down.